Welcome to Tzu Chi This Week. I'm Mary Lee. It's good to have you with us. Coming up in this week's top stories, we follow Tzu Chi volunteers from U.S. Tzu Chi headquarters on the disaster assessment of the flooding in Boulder, Colorado. A pastry-making event was held in Hualien, Taiwan for teachers and students to celebrate Teachers' Day. And U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers revisit New Jersey to hold a cash card distribution for victims of a fire. We start the show in the United States. 2 weeks ago, the state of Colorado was devastated by one of the worst flooding in centuries. The disaster damaged more than 17,000 buildings. To help, Tzu Chi volunteers from Los Angeles, California, flew to Colorado to conduct a disaster assessment. Let's take a look.
This used to be a stream. This place used to be a quiet community surrounded by forests. 2 weeks ago, the state of Colorado in the United States was struck by the worst flooding in centuries.
About 4 o'clock, the lower door blew open and all the mud flowed into the house and filled the house up with mud and water. We had some vehicles and we got all the kids and the babies and everybody in the vehicles, and we drove out through the water to try to get out.
Boulder County, Colorado is one of the worst hit areas of the recent flood. As floodwater has damaged the sewage system, foul odor has started to spread inside the basement of this house. In order to clean up the area, cleaning crew has equipped themselves with masks.
We don't have sewage, we don't have any heat, we don't have any hot water. Yeah, no, we can't use the restroom. We have to use a bucket, and then we have to haul that somewhere else.
This time the severe flooding has damaged 17,000 houses and completely destroyed 1,800 buildings.
We haven't received any help yet from any government agency. Everything we're doing here we have to do ourselves, but we have no insurance for any of it.
To help the flood survivors in Colorado, Tzu Chi volunteers from the U.S. Tzu Chi headquarters flew from Los Angeles to the disaster site. Despite the poor weather, volunteers are determined to conduct a disaster assessment.
Right now we don't have an office in Colorado, and we flew from California to conduct a disaster assessment. Now that we have seen the situation, we will do what we can to help these flood survivors.
On the second day of their visit, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived at the Colorado Department of Public Safety to get a better understanding of the current situation.
In Larimer County and in Boulder County, they have pockets of communities that are isolated from the rest of the state because the flooding has damaged the roads to the point where they can't travel back and forth. We're expecting billions of dollars to be the cost.
As the subsidies given by the government will not be able to cover all the flood survivors, Tzu Chi volunteers visit a local Tzu Chi member to discuss the possible ways Tzu Chi can help.
I'm so happy that Tzu Chi volunteers are here to help these flood survivors. I feel ashamed not being able to initiate anything. Please let us know if there's anything that we can do to help. All of us want to contribute our share and help our fellow citizens.
In the Philippines, the fight between government forces and rebels in Zamboanga continues, and more than 100 people have already lost their lives. The military clash had left over 100,000 residents homeless. The Zamboanga Tzu Chi volunteers were mobilized to gather aid supplies, conduct free clinics, and visit those in temporary shelters.
For more than 10 days, the city of Zamboanga has been filled with the sound of gunshots, affecting the lives of those living in 14 different villages. Looking at the satellite images, one can see that 3 villages along the coast have been severely damaged. Due to the war between government forces and rebels, more than 3,300 houses were completely destroyed. For years, military clashes have occurred in Zamboanga, leaving countless residents in despair. To help, Tzu Chi volunteer Yang Wei-shun has been providing aid supplies to the needy regardless of their political position.
There's about 115,000 of them right now with no homes to go back to. So the rehabilitation process and recovery process will really take a long time.
Currently, more than 100,000 people are homeless. Tzu Chi volunteers were mobilized to gather aid supplies. As soon as temporary shelters are set, the volunteers hand out food and daily necessities.
Tzu Chi is always one of the first to arrive. What we do when they when they set up a new evacuation site, we make sure they have food immediately. And normally, as it does with government, it takes a little more time because they have some procedures that they have to do.
Meanwhile, Tima doctors are holding free clinics in schools, 10 areas, and even go door to door to help those in need of medical treatment. Since the current living environment is not that ideal, symptoms such as fever and cough have started to appear on children with weak immune systems.
The city health office is afraid that there might be an outbreak of disease. That's why we're focusing now on hygiene and medical missions, just to make sure that the kids are checked. And we're also doing some feeding programs just to bring up the resistance of the children against diseases.
As war is merciless, only with love can we overcome hate.
Moving to Malaysia, we meet 19-year-old Chen Hui-ying, who is an assistant teacher at the Kedah Tzu Chi Kindergarten. Over time, not only has she become more thoughtful and understanding, but also matured in how she interacts with people.
我要睡觉，我们下午我们祈祷过再睡觉可以吗？现在我们要上课好不好？
Faced with the children's restlessness, Chen Hui-ying takes each situation as it comes. Following her graduation from high school, Hui-ying then went on to become an assistant teacher at the Tzu Chi Kindergarten in Kedah. As she is just like an older sister to her students, she is very well liked by the little ones.
In the beginning, other teachers had to help her out, but now she can manage on her own. She has found a way to comfort these children.
Perhaps it was the children's purity and innocence which influenced Hui-ying. Each day at the kindergarten is motivation for her to strive forward.
There are 2 books which inspire me. I came across a phrase which said, "Are you the sunshine of your class?"
I worry that she won't be a good teacher because she is just like a child. I also worry that when she is in a bad mood, she would take it out on her students.
It was Hui-ying's students who reminded her not to block out her own sunshine.
Before, one of my students didn't want to eat his veggies, so I told him if he wanted to be a good boy, he has to eat his veggies. Then I realized I didn't eat my vegetables either and I felt guilty, so I ended up eating the vegetables myself as well.
Learning with her students, in her parents' eyes, their daughter has also matured.
She has become very thoughtful, whether it is helping her sister out or assisting with household chores.
A good sister and an aspiring teacher, through her conduct and demeanor, one can already feel her warmth and sunshine.
Prior to Teachers' Day here in Taiwan, which falls on September 28th, nearly 80 teachers and students from various institutes of Tzu Chi's education mission came together to make pumpkin buns to celebrate the occasion. This is not only the first time such an event was held, but also the first experience in making dessert for many involved.
Listening intently to instructions on how to make pumpkin buns, these educators put on aprons and face masks for a special mission today.
We need to gently close the outer layer, just like how we care and love our students. We can't be too rough and we must cover all areas, or else it will break apart. This is really interesting. I think in the process, I also experienced a teacher's love for its students.
Teachers, principals and students from various schools under the Tzu Chi Education Mission are coming together for the first time to make desserts to celebrate the Teachers' Day.
We are making the pumpkin bun with gratitude and love. This is demonstrating our good intentions and bonding everyone together.
Though seemingly simple, students and teachers all take on the challenge of making these pumpkin buns and are much inspired in the process.
We put our love in the pumpkin buns that we are making. So everyone is creating an atmosphere of gratitude, respect, and love. We will also send the buns to Hualien Jingse Abode because Master Zhen Yan is our teacher.
所以我们代表董事会向老师们致敬。
Through showing gratitude to each other, the nearly 80 teachers and students also demonstrate the spirit of respecting their educators.
Here in Taiwan, 5th grader Xu Wenling of Penghu's Xiyu Township comes from a single-parent family. With her father ill and unable to work, Xu's tuition is a heavy burden for this struggling family. Upon learning of their plight, Tzu Chi volunteers applied for the new Xu scholarship to subsidize the young girl's school fees so she may continue her studies with peace of mind.
5th grader Xu Wenling comes from a single-parent family. With her father unemployed, Wenling's tuition is a heavy burden for the family. Yet, Wenling is a conscientious student and actively takes part in various after-school activities.
She is not like her other classmates who dash out to play during break. She is more mature compared to her peers and is obedient to her teachers.
What her family can provide her with is limited, but I feel she should stay in school in order to acquire more knowledge and skills so that one day she may lead a better life.
As An is a fishing village, there are many children like Wenling, whose family simply do not have the financial means to support their children's tuition.
Her father has diabetes, so his health isn't that great. Wenling told her father, "Dad, you have to look after yourself. When I'm older, I will support you and be filial to you."
Wenling's thoughtfulness moved the Tzu Chi volunteers. Each time they visit, they see Wenling managing all the household chores and taking care of her grandmother.
I want to thank the Tzu Chi aunties for coming here to care for me and my grandma. Your support and encouragement means so much. It's just like a mother's love.
To help Wenling continue her education, Tzu Chi volunteers applied for subsidies through the New Shoot Scholarship Program. Cherishing her blessings, Wenling also actively participates in various school activities, hoping to ready herself for the future.
Recently in the United States, a fire broke out in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, damaging 68 shops in the community. Upon learning of the fire, Tzu Chi volunteers soon mobilized to carry out a disaster survey and later organized a cash card distribution to help the needy get through this difficult time.
At the tourist resort of Seaside Heights City, New Jersey, a fire broke out and burned 68 shops on the beach. As Tzu Chi volunteers surveyed the fire site, they realized this area was also one of the disaster areas devastated by Hurricane Sandy last year.
See the bottom of that house. Since Hurricane Sandy, those broken wires have not been replaced. The fire investigation report says that's why the fire started burning from under the house.
Upon learning of the news of the fire, Tzu Chi volunteers soon carried out a disaster survey and worked with the local government to distribute cash cards to the fire victims. Seeing Tzu Chi volunteers lend their helping hands once again, Chobok couldn't help crying because her father's house was destroyed by Hurricane Sandy last year, while this time the fire damaged her shop.
Well, I was crying because this is absolutely fabulous what you're doing for all of us. We are complete strangers, and for you to do this for us is just amazing. So we all work together, and with your help, I'm sure that we'll rebuild.
It's very difficult. You're trying to figure out what answers, where we can go. I mean, any kind of help that we can get. I mean, your organization has been so appreciative that you guys came back and helped us again. And I mean, it's very humbling to know that
what they did for us during the Sandy storm.
Despite merciless disasters coming one after another, these local residents believe that as long as Tzu Chi volunteers are around, there are no difficulties they cannot overcome.
Continuing our report in the United States, last year Hurricane Sandy struck the east coast of the country, leaving Kingsburg, New Jersey one of the worst hit areas. Back then, Tzu Chi volunteers not only handed out cash cards and daily necessities to help storm survivors in Kingsburg, but also offered them much needed emotional support. Now, almost a year later, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to show their love and care to this community as they recently donated new equipment to the Kingsburg Fire Department and invited local residents to join them in a beach cleanup.
Praying for the world free from disaster and humans away from pain and suffering are New Jersey Tzu Chi volunteers who are here in Kingsburg to clean up the beach.
And I'm going to bring them down. The blue bags are going to be for regular garbage and the clear bags will be for recycling.
At this annual beach cleanup event, other than Tzu Chi volunteers and Tzu Chins, several residents of Kingsburg joined the event as well. Last year, following the devastation of Hurricane Sandy, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived with relief items and emotional support and have inspired Kingsburg residents with Tzu Chi's green concepts.
第一次来参加慈济的活动啦。我第一次来参加。师姐，你每一年都有来，对不对？
对，每一次去哪里我也有去。
垃圾哦，有没有找到？哦，找到，好厉害！你眼睛怎么这么好？
Prior to winter, Tzu Chi volunteers take the opportunity to organize a series of beach cleanup events. At the recent one held in Kingsburg, over 30 local residents joined in the volunteers' ranks.
I read in the paper when you guys arrived in Union Beach, and I Googled the name of your organization, and I did a little bit more research after that and found your organization to be pretty amazing.
As Hurricane Sandy struck the east coast of the United States last year, Tzu Chi volunteers helped Kingsburg residents rebuild their homes. Learning that fire equipment was damaged during the storm, the volunteers decided to donate new equipment in order to better safeguard the lives and properties of countless residents in this community.
来来回回就是你勾选很多次哈，当然就是说
We went through numerous meetings because we had to make sure our donation of the equipment would really fit their needs, but at the same time keep to our budget. Although we could not provide them much, the fire equipment is essential to their work and is very useful.
At the fire equipment donation ceremony, Tzu Chi volunteers seized the chance to give the participants a better understanding of this organization.
Oh, it was very nice. It was very nice. You guys do a great job in presenting everything, and the lunch was terrific. Your movie was great. It was very touching to see everything that your organization does. Is just really touching.
These items weren't covered, and Sam, you said like it's a small gesture. It's a huge gesture because this equipment is going to help us serve the community of Kingsburg.
Several residents even decided to join in the volunteers' ranks after they experienced the compassion and great love of Tzu Chi.
Actually get to experience the joy of giving that a lot of people don't really get to know. The sisters and brothers here are just so loving and so giving.
In the wake of the disaster, Tzu Chi volunteers extend their love to the needy and create a close bond with one another.
In June 1998, the Tzu Chi Malacca chapter established the first overseas media crew to help document the history of Tzu Chi's good deeds in Malaysia. Today, the media volunteers stand firm in recording the truth and reporting on the compassionate charity work of Tzu Chi volunteers.
I wrote, took pictures, and filmed. It was very easy, not that big of a deal.
In Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteer Liu Jiyu was the first media volunteer of the Tzu Chi Malacca chapter. Then, in June 1998, the first overseas media team was formed, and now they have been reporting on Tzu Chi's news in Malaysia for 15 years.
我们拍摄不是就是只是在外面看，我们真的是要走入他们的生命。
At the intensive training seminar for media staff members, Luo Huiyao shares his 11 years of experience.
When you fully immerse yourself into your work, the message you want to convey will go through.
In 1998, a maritime disaster happened in Malacca, and although Tzu Chi volunteers were on hand to offer support to the victims, no documentation was made. That event has forever been a regret in volunteer reporter Chen Shouzhen's mind.
Media volunteers are really important. They're helping to write Tzu Chi's Great Treasury Sutra.
There's a story behind every picture.
At an exhibition of Tzu Chi's work, volunteers stand before each photograph, ready to tell its story. Team leader Li Xianxiong is glad to see an increase of media volunteers, however, saddened at the cause of the increase.
With so many natural disasters, one person cannot record it all. We need many hands to help document things.
38 media volunteers step on stage to perform part of a sutra musical and firmly showcase their determination to continue to help write Tzu Chi's history. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers from Norway, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany gathered together in Germany to share their experiences in spreading Tzu Chi in Europe and the difficulties they encounter. Many volunteers say, regardless of race or faith, with determination and courage, they will be able to recruit more like-minded individuals.
Today, Tzu Chi volunteers from Norway, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany gathered together to share their experiences in spreading Tzu Chi. Many volunteers say that it is not easy to promote recycling in these European countries.
For example, it is hard to organize street cleaning events because we have cleaning crew in France. We asked them if we can conduct recycling events, and they say no. Why? It is because they are afraid that we will take over their jobs.
During the event, Norway Tzu Chi volunteer Cai Ruiyu also seized the chance to share her experience in assisting a bus crash involving Taiwanese tourists.
When I visited the patient, her face was swollen and her daughter was still in a coma. To be honest, I was a bit afraid of facing the situation.
To spread Tzu Chi far and wide, Germany Tzu Chi volunteer Huang Baolian says it has inspired her to become an active volunteer.
Seeing these 4 newly recruited bodhisattvas, I really need to repent. I have been walking the Tzu Chi path for about 18 years. I have been a volunteer that is willing to accept all the duties that were assigned to me. However, I never had the courage to initiate tasks because I always think that I don't have the time to do so.
I am not good at encouraging members of the public to donate their love. It is a problem that I can't overcome. I don't know how to ask people to donate money. I am not afraid anymore, and I will face all obstacles with courage. Until the end of this year, I vow to inspire 5 more people to become Tzu Chi members in England.
Although facing countless problems to spread Tzu Chi in these European countries, the volunteers are not afraid because they know love will overcome all obstacles.
At the end of the show, we return to the United States to check on the recovery efforts of the flood survivors in Evans, Colorado. The small town attracted many Good Samaritans from other communities to help clean up the area. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for watching. See you next week.